Hey, friend, welcome back to the podcast. This is podcast episode number Monday Fire 41. And today I'm talking about something that I call pain shaming. Others maybe refer to it as hardship Olympics. And I want to give you just the tiniest bit of the backstory. Okay. So last week on Instagram, which by the way, let me just say, Instagram is just becoming more and more of my jam. It really, really is. I find that I connect more with people on Instagram than what I even do anymore on Facebook. I'm more like-minded people. So I'm on Instagram and I was posting about how I needed a distraction from all the things that are currently, happening in the world and with all the coronavirus. We are moving my in-person face-to-face conference with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people in the next 3 weeks to an online conference because of, all of the dynamics surrounding coronavirus and to try to keep everybody safe. And so, sometimes when things are hard and heavy, like we all deal with hard and heavy in different ways, right? Like some people make jokes, some people, they weep, other people get angry, and there's different phases, I think, sometimes of emotions too. But sometimes a good distraction really is helpful to me. And I had that recently on a Monday Fire episode. So I was on my Instagram stories and I was just talking about how, I was perhaps thinking about just whacking my hair again. I'm like, you know what? I might just whack the hair. And by the way, you're going to hear some background noise in today's Monday Fire. And here's the truth, folks. Because of the coronavirus scares, I'm recording this on a Saturday. Our kids have a basketball game, or we're supposed to be having a basketball game for the high school up at the auditorium, a normal high school basketball game that everybody in the community is able to go to. But because of coronavirus, they have limited the stands to, I believe, just family. But anyway, none of the kids could go. So right now I have about 50 kids in my basement that are currently watching our high school play basketball. You may hear cheering from time to time, but this is life. Okay. So I was talking on my Instagram stories about how I was thinking just about chopping my hair, need a good distraction. And I basically just said, yeah, I know that there are way bigger problems in the world, than my hair right now. And I said, and I realize it's just hair. But I said, I also just, I'm just thinking about whacking it. And the truth is, I just really would like my hair back. And so I got a DM from someone. And, I've started in the last couple of months to save the DMs that I get that are just to kind of use them almost as education, not to shame anyone, but to educate people, because I think it's easy to see, oh my gosh, it's how great for her that she's got this huge following. And I don't think anybody realizes the kinds of things that show up in somebody's DMs when you have an audience of any size. And so I know this comes with the territory. The Bible says to whom much is given, much will be required. But here's what somebody messaged me. Jennifer, I love you and I love your hair, but please remember, it is just hair. It will grow back. Well, I'm hoping so. Remember the women who are going through cancer treatments who have lost their hair. They would give anything to have those broken pieces. I had talked about having broken pieces of hair on my Instagram stories. And listen, I read that and it was like a punch in the gut, because of course I know that there are women who are going through cancer treatments. The woman who has cleaned my home for a decade just lost all of her hair. She just came back to work after being off for a year and going through extensive chemo and radiation. My very best friend, Laura, had a liver tumor. She had liver cancer last year. One of my very closest friends, also a spiritual mother to me, my friend Jill, just recently had lung cancer. So I am very well aware of who has it worse. Trust me, I am well aware of that. But I also just felt like, gosh, lady, just because I'm feeling grief over something that you may not find important. And by the way, I'm not like sucking my thumb in a corner, like lest anybody think I'm in a major depression or anything like that. No, I did have a good big boo-hoo when I figured out, that I was losing my hair and why I think I'm losing my hair. And you can go to Instagram to hear all of those stories. It's some of the products I believe that I've been using, because there's 50,000 of us women who have had the same experience. So you can go listen to those podcasts or go listen on stories. But so I'm not like consumed by it. Okay. But it is very much a part of my life right now. And I'm trying to really be helpful to other women in helping them to understand that what we're putting into our bodies has a direct result often on what happens to our bodies. And so, I'm in the middle still of a giant liver detox, trying just to get rid of the toxins that I have been putting into my body for years and years and years. And we'll talk more about that in another episode. But I am well aware that there are so many people who have it worse than I do. And I came back to her and I said, look, When you minimize somebody's pain like that and somebody's grief like that by showing them how other people have it worse, it just does such a disservice to people. And I can remember when Jason and I, we have 3 biological children and a little girl, Ari, that we're in the process of adopting. And I can remember very insensitive people saying after one of our miscarriages, I don't think that they were being malicious at all, just insensitive. And so I want to share this podcast with you because I want it to somebody to be like, oh my gosh, I've done that and I can't do that again. Because look, I've said as many boneheaded things as what you have and everybody else, and this poor woman or this sweet woman who messaged me. So this is nothing against her. I just am trying to bring awareness to this topic. Okay. So listen, after Jason and I had a miscarriage, I have had people say to me before, well, you have 2 other healthy kids. At least you have 2 other healthy kids. Like other women would just, they haven't had any kids. At least you've got other kids. Okay, I just miscarried for the 2nd time. Like that helped me 0. You just pain shamed me. Basically, you just tried to tell me that I shouldn't be grieving because other people are worse off. I can remember we waited 4 years to adopt. We were on a waiting list with 2 different private agencies. We were on a waiting list to adopt out of the foster care system. And we got close so many times where mothers had pulled our portfolio and we're looking at our portfolio and we were like, okay, maybe this is it. And then we would get really close and have some conversation and then the adoption would fall through. And I can remember people saying, well, just love the kids you've got. Love the kids you've got. And me just literally wanting to punch them straight in the eyes. Can I just say that? Like, is it okay just to say that? Made me so angry? Of course I love the kids I've got. Are you crazy? Of course I do. But just because we knew in our knower that there was another one and that just kept falling through, that doesn't mean there's still not pain over that. And so, I have had many people DM me with some of their examples of how they've been pain shamed, or also called the hardship Olympics. And I want to give you some situations and some scenarios because I was shocked this week by how many of you messaged me with your own situations. And I just wanted to cry. And it made me think, have I done that? Like I realized, for instance, I've said things to my kids before at the holidays, be glad you're getting anything. There are kids in other countries who would do anything to have a Christmas present. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, what kind of a jerk mom thing is that for me to say? And so, when you know better, you do better. And I want to help us to all know better. And I hope that I haven't said some of these things to some other women. And so I'm going to read to you some of the things that people sent me. And I'm almost going to do it like Jimmy Fallon style here. Because some of these were just so good. Okay. So some of these are examples and some of these are just words of wisdom. And I want you to listen to this because these were all good enough for me to screenshot and felt like they were good enough to say them for you. So Lena Abel messaged me and she said, my mama always said, even though the guy next to you has lost a leg, it doesn't make your broken finger hurt any less. Sure, we feel bad that he had to lose his whole leg, but dang, this finger still hurts. Is that not the truth? So thank you so much for that. This is from My Morris 10. She said, this is so true. I think that people use this tactic to try to cheer people up, to help them see the bright side, the silver lining. Although this is not the right way to go about it. I truly feel it's because they have a difficult time coping with sadness themselves. It's like a quick Band-Aid for their own anxiety. And I was like, oh girl, that's so good. Okay. So this is from Heather Holton. She said, I grew up minimizing my own struggles because my dad would always do this. So I've had to work through a lot of junk in the last several years because I haven't dealt with my own stuff. I minimized it and stuffed it down, and I didn't realize how much it crippled me. Your book, Finished on the Airplane Today, is a tool that God's helping me to move through a lot of fears and wrong thinking. Thank you. So thank you for that, Heather, for mentioning fear is not the boss of you. I appreciate you. And I'm sorry that was your situation. This hit close to home because we have family that are in the military. So this is from M. Shrimsher. She says, my husband is active duty Marine and is preparing for his 8th deployment. Makes my heart ache when people say, it's the life you've chosen, or you knew that this was what it would be like, especially when they say it in front of our kids. Yes, we know. But however, it doesn't change our heartache and the grief that we experience during the separation. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry for you. We've got one here from CJ Thessing. I cannot stand this. I stay at home with my kids, and if I have a hard day, I get told to just be grateful that I get to stay home because so many moms wish that they could. I guess that means I'm not allowed to just have a hard day. Sometimes you just need to feel your feelings without being told they aren't valid. That is so the truth. When I stayed home full time with our kids, I can remember feeling like I should never complain about it because other women would have given anything to be in my situation. But being a stay-at-home mom is the hardest job on the planet, girl. This is from Rachel, P25. When my son was diagnosed with a form of epilepsy, we had people tell us that we should feel grateful because at least it wasn't a brain tumor or something worse. We were devastated by the diagnosis and potential implication of it for his life. People telling us that didn't make us feel any better. It made us feel alone. Okay, do you hear that? Alone. I'm sorry about your hair, and you're entitled to feel bad about it. Thank you. Appreciate that. Another one. This is some wisdom from Jaybird Blooms. Agreed. Let's just mourn with people. I often think about Jesus when Lazarus died. He came and was told about Lazarus. Instead of saying, oh, he's in a better place, he wept with the people. He was literally about to raise him up from the dead, but he still was weeping for the loss of his good friend. I wish we could all love that way. Oh my gosh, that was so good. Tara Lee Inman says, it's like sitting in a burning house with someone outside refusing to hand you the water hose. That's tweetable, right? Hang on. This is from Sophia Victoria. I once read a quote that went something like, to say we don't feel bad because others have it worse is like saying, don't feel happy because others have it better. And I read that about 10 times. Let's say that again. To say don't feel bad because others have it worse is like saying don't feel great because others have it better. That is really, really good. So good. Courtney C4 says, I was pain shamed because I dared say how this coronavirus epidemic was hurting us financially and that we would feel it well beyond the outbreak. My husband works in the beverage industry with all these events being canceled and all the professional sports being canceled, the performance bonuses, etc. It's going to hurt us big time. And someone yelled at me because there are people dying. Yes, I know. But just because I'm worried about our financial instability does not mean I'm not worried about the sick people too. Girl, that's true. I want you to listen to this one. It's like when you use a loved one. This lady lost her spouse. And people say, well, at least he's not in pain anymore. Truth, but he's not here with me. And she said that all in capital letters. He's not here with me. I reached out to her with just a virtual hug. This one's from Bug and Bee. She says, pain is pain and hurt is hurt. We all have the right to vent and share. Comments like that are why women have such a hard time reaching out to others for help and support, because you always think that someone is going to minimize your pain. This lady says it's called a lack of empathy. We can be completely grateful and be upset and grieve our own loss at the same time. One does not dismiss the other, and I loved that. Realistically, this is from Tippy's Totes. She's the one that talked about it being the hardship Olympics. Several people called it that. Realistically, every person you'll ever meet has struggles. We all do. Just because it's not important to you does not mean it's not monumental to them. By the way, I'd be devastated if I lost my hair. A good friend of mine said that losing her hair was worse than having a necessary double mastectomy. It's traumatizing. And I just thanked her for that. So listen, guys, I just want to let you know that I'm not shaming, by the way, the lady that sent me the DM. So don't even like come at me in my DMs about that. I just wanted to bring attention to this because I know that I've been guilty of it. I know I've said dumb things. And like I said, when you know better, you do better. And so we are at a really interesting time in our country right now where people are not going to probably be at their best. People are nervous. They are scared. They are, a lot of them, having a lot of anxiety. Whenever I'm cooped up in the house for long lengths of time, I know that I definitely am not at my best. So I think right now we need to extend so many people so much grace. But I also think that we have a responsibility to just really meet people where they are at in their emotions without making them feel like they're being ridiculous for feeling like they do. Okie dokie. Can we just all agree to that? Okay. All right, there's some kids leaving. All right, friends, I hope that this was helpful today. If so, would you give me a shout out on Instagram? Let me know. You can push the share button at the bottom of your podcast app, by the way, and share it with a friend. And, I did have several people reach out to me and they said, one lady said to me something along the lines of, the other day, my mom, who's in a nursing home, wasn't feeling well. And I told her, well, at least you can still get up and walk at all or something like that. And she said she's reached back out to her and she's apologized for that because she probably made her feel worse instead of better. And I was like, oh, good. And so if this triggered anything for you, if it's caused you to remember, if the Holy Spirit has brought up a situation that you need to go back to someone and just say, you know what, I said that wrong and I'm sorry. More than likely, they possibly don't even remember it. But if God's brought something up for you, I encourage you to go take care of that today. So love you so much, my friends. I'll see you on the podcast again on Wednesday. Bye-bye.